Again, welcome everybody. The ASEA 5, where we meet every Friday night, and we're so honored that you will join us for this hour because we love sharing information on these amazing molecules. What we're talking about tonight is redox signaling molecules. These are molecules that are made in the mitochondria of your cells that have incredible jobs to do. They detect and protect your DNA. They repair and replace cells that are damaged. They turn on beneficial genes that have to do with your heart health, your gut health, your immune status, inflammation throughout the body, and your hormones. So incredible stuff. So just by supplementing these molecules, which we have fewer of as we get older, we see incredible benefits, including enhanced healing and even some slowing of the aging process, which we all love because we all woke up a little bit older today than we were yesterday. So we have the regulars. As I said, Dr. Lee Osler is in Las Vegas taking a class and probably having a little fun too. We have Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio. Jim is our money man, a former stockbroker, and Ann is our nutritionist and physical personal trainer, does a lot of exercise and teaches other people and has ripping muscles if you ever get to see it. And then we have a very incredible special guest tonight, one of my favorites, Dr. David Silverman. Let me give you a little background on David. I've known him for a number of years now. He's been with ASEA longer than I have, probably 9 years, Dr. Silverman, 9 or 10 years now.
Yeah, that's right.
He's on the medical board with Dr. Lee Osler and myself. And he's a podiatrist. He's board certified, actually owned the surgery center that he practiced in. So he was not only a physician, he was also a business owner and actually stopped all of that, retired from that. And we'll get a little bit of his background and his story to do this company to share redox signaling molecules full time. I did that as well. I was a little bit later than Dr. Silverman was, but I did just renew my license, so I'm good to go for another 2 years. Only I don't practice medicine anymore. I teach people about redox because, like Dr. Silverman, I found it's more important to keep people healthy, get them healthy, keep them healthy, than spend all of our time trying to fix people who are sick. So anyway, we love Dr. Silverman. He's very successful with this. He's been able to share this with thousands of people all over the world and is considered quite the leader in the company and has a wealth of information and knowledge on this. So Dr. David Silverman, take it from here. Please tell us how you got involved, that backstory, how your friend came to you, why it was important to you, what your due diligence was, even looking at this, and kind of how it has changed your life. So I'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Maureen. And thanks, Jim and Ann. Glad to be here. These Friday night presentations are really excellent. It's more of a discussion mode versus a PowerPoint presentation. And I think a lot of people like that. I like it because, I mean, I do PowerPoint presentations a lot, but I like just talking with people. And I feel like I'm just talking here with family. You know, it's a joy for me. And I got introduced to ASEA about 10 years ago. It was the end of 2010 when my friend Debbie brought it to me. And this is the way people find out about it, friends. It wasn't another doctor who brought it to me. It was a friend, and friends share it with people they care about. It's something that sounded a little too good to be true to me. And I think, you know, it's a breakthrough. So breakthroughs mean that no one knows what it is. I mean, it's out of the box. It's totally different. Who would believe something could be as magnificent as this when you hear the stories? But Debbie told me her story. That's what we do. And she told me what happened with her mother. She told me how she was introduced. She told me what happened with her mother's issues with her joint problems and breathing problems. She told me what it had done for her. And my reason for really looking into it was not for myself. It wasn't for myself. It wasn't for the opportunity that she said it had created. It was for my father. I looked at it from my dad. And I think, you know, it sounded great, wonderful, good for you. But when you love somebody who's sick, I don't know about you, but my attitude was, what if this could help? My dad had a pretty grave issue, type of issue no one wants to hear they have anywhere in their body. So I took the time to look into it. And I have seen people since then, you know, say, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And it's so sad when people won't take the time to look. I shot a video for someoneyouLove.com. It's 4 minutes long. It's for someoneyouLove.com, because I think a lot of people will look at it for someone they love, a mother, father, child. But so that was my reason for looking into it, investigated it, found it was safe as water, talked to a lot of doctors who were using it at that point already, got my dad on it, saw what it did for him, was like, hey, happy, thrilled, ecstatic. But then I saw it do some things on other people, including myself. And about a year later, almost a year later, I started looking into the opportunity. I was kind of gun shy about multi-level marketing. I had seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's a lot of greed and hype in that industry. And so I was very careful. I put my toe in the water, and then I decided to meet the people running the company, and I saw what the integrity and the brilliance and the stewardship, and I said, I'm in. So I did it part-time for about a little over 3 years, and then I went full-time with it.
Awesome.
Wow, I love that. And if I'm not mistaken, Debbie called you and said, I love you. You need to take a look at this.
Yeah, that's what she said. We sat down at a cafe. It was La Madeleine, Rockville, Maryland. Sat down, and she looked at me and she said, she had a weird look on her face. She just said, I love you. Because, I love you. And I thought she was telling me, like, David, leave your wife and come with me. I didn't know what she meant. I go, yeah, I love you too. And then she told me, and I'm telling you, when you care about people, you tell them. Some people listen, some people just, they don't. And we'll talk about it in a little bit. If someone doesn't listen to me, I'm literally saying a little prayer to God that they have something in their body that hurts them while I'm sitting there with them, because I always have this in my pocket. And it's a very easy way to open a closed mind.
Yeah, I love it. I was one of those people, David, and it's kind of my driving force. I think you've heard my story. Somebody came to me when my mother was quite ill. And, as a physician, it was not a medical person. And so she sent me information, and I call it, ignorance and arrogance. I didn't look at it, or I looked at it a little bit, and I found out it was made from salt water. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Plus I live on the Gulf Coast. I know you live on the shore too. I was like, I'm surrounded by salt water. I do not need to purchase it. And, I just sort of erased her emails. I didn't answer her calls. And, my mom was seriously ill, and she passed away 2 months later. And, it's interesting because it came back around when my husband was so ill. And it was a friend of mine who I trusted, and I knew he was also not medical, but I said, are you kidding me? This saltwater stuff, you got involved with that? And he said, I don't know what to tell you, doc. People are having amazing life changes because of it. And so I said, okay, I'll take a look, and I was extremely skeptical. My husband is he's a physician and a researcher. So he was extremely skeptical too. But he got on the product, and it wasn't overnight for us. A lot of people have very fast responses. And of course, with what you're going to teach us with the 3 and 5, you can have somebody have a very quick product experience, but it took a while. But it's funny that Christmas, people were thanking our founder for not turning this over to a pharmaceutical company. And there was a woman who was talking about her dad still being with us, who had the same challenge that my mom did. And what's really interesting, that was back in 2012 when that happened. And just recently I saw on Facebook where her dad just got cataract surgery. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I don't know that it would have saved my mom, but I wish I had taken the opportunity to try, to see if it would enhance her healing. And so that drives me. I don't care if people say yes or no to me, but I feel like it's my job to make them aware that it exists. So,
hey, Maureen, real quick, can you share that story about when you went to Boston and you went to that one symposium or whatever it was?
Oh, it
really helped validate what?
Yeah, it was
what was that?
My husband. It was the experimental biology conference it was in Boston in 2013, and my husband was there. My husband he's a pediatric anesthesiologist and a stem cell researcher, and does organ regeneration. And he was up there giving a presentation, and he called me and he said, you're not going to believe this, but ASEA has a presentation here, a poster presentation. And it was on the mouse study. And, David, I know you're familiar with this. It was Dr. David Neiman from the Human Performance Lab at Appalachian State.
What's a poster? What's a poster presentation?
There's all sorts of different levels of presentations at these things. And so when you have research that you've done, you can do what's called a poster presentation, which, we have a copy of the poster, which just is sort of the abstract in sort of a visual form so that people can see the research that was done. It kind of shows what they started with, how many mice they had, what they did, how long it was for, what their findings were, and somebody stands there. And so people will go through and talk to the person, and they'll explain the research that was done. Let me tell you, you have to have real science to be accepted for something like this. This experimental biology conference is the major conference for a number of different medical societies. And so, I'm an anesthesiologist. We always have a yearly conference for anesthesiologists, but this is sort of a confluence, if you will, of a number of different groups. So to be selected is very prestigious. So, my husband was like, wow, this is amazing. This is ASEA science with Dr. David Neiman. So it was kind of a big deal. So you know what? This is a great time. Thank you for asking about that, Jim, because it was really pretty cool. And that got both of our attention. That was early in April before we got involved, I guess November the year before, but we were taking it. And like David, I wasn't really interested in sharing it. I had been involved in network marketing before. It was not the best experience for me. I wasn't very good at it. So it was a labor of love. When Terry, my sponsor, talked to me about the opportunity, I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to meetings. I don't want to learn the secret handshake. I just want my husband to get better. But that was that was a lot of credibility for us there. But can you talk a little bit about what redox signaling is and why this science is important?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was a biology major at University of Maryland back in the 80s, and then Podiatric Medical School in Chicago was in the 80s. And we were taught that the mitochondria, as you mentioned before, in our cells had one function, and that was to produce a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, which is ATP. It's what we burn for fuel. I'm not going to get real scientific. There are little books that you can read about this that's amazing. There are big books you can read about redox biochemistry, but this redox biochemistry did not exist in the 80s. There was redox, but nobody knew that these little reductants and oxidants had any function in our body. And you look at the literature, in the early 90s, it started popping up. If you go to pubmed.gov and you put in search redox signaling, you'll see, when I looked at this in December of 10, there were about, I think, 5,500 studies and articles. Now there's over 30,000 of them. It's a huge area of science, and we call it emerging, but it's here. I mean, the hope is that people can make these redox replenish. I'll explain in a minute. Replenish and make it outside the body. So our cells make this. Our cells make what's in this bottle, called Redox Signaling Molecules. Redox stands for reductant and oxidant. Signaling stands for signal amplification, and molecules are molecules. And our cells make this in the mitochondria from saline. There are 4 atoms that are needed to make it. 4 elements: sodium chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen. Well, that's what our cells are filled with. It's saline. That when you get an IV, the hospital hanging there, it's saline. You're an anesthesiologist. And I knew this. Most people, even lay people, know that you get saline, and they don't think about, well, why are they giving me salt water? Well, they're giving you salt water because that's what our cells are filled with. That's what the body makes these little redox molecules from in the mitochondria during the production of ATP. But there was no known function of these little guys in the 80s and before that. In the 90s, they discovered that they do have a function. They do several things, and what I'm saying here doesn't explain the things we're going to talk about we see with the gel version of this, because ASEA is the drink version and this is the topical version. But few things they do is they increase our levels of antioxidants, our own body's antioxidants, glutathione, SOD, catalase. I don't want to get too scientific, but these are powerful antioxidants. They're much thousands of times more powerful than the ones you get from food. If you didn't have glutathione in your body, you couldn't get enough antioxidants from food. You'd die. you need glutathione. This raises the levels of glutathione. It amplifies signaling in the body so that our cells need to hear one another. They have to know if there's a problem, right? It's kind of like if you have good cells and now you have a cell that's bad, it needs to be replaced with a good cell, right? Well, how does that happen? Well, the good cell detects the problem and it calls for help. And the signal goes through the body to the millions of immune system cells that are waiting for a 911 call saying, David has a dead cell in his pancreas. You better go replace it. If you don't replace it, he's going to have diabetes. He's going to have to take insulin. Well, we all have cells dying in our pancreas. We don't all get diabetes. We all have cells dying in our lungs. Cells have lifespan. We all have cells that are mutating. And if they're not stopped by the immune system, we know what we get. So it's pretty darn important for the immune system to hear that good cell's call for help. So what redox molecules do is it amplifies the signal, right? And so the immune system doesn't care what the call is for. If it's a liver cell, kidney cell, brain cell, retina cell, it doesn't matter. If the signal is loud, the immune system can hear the call and come, right? Well, it's like a cell phone. If you don't have good signal, you call 911 and give them the address, they're not coming. But if you have good signal and you say a man looks like he had a heart attack, they're coming. You call and say someone just fell out of a tree, they're coming. You know, I got burned really bad, I can't even walk, they're coming. They don't care what the reason is. They're coming because the signal was loud enough. Well, our mitochondria are pretty important in this picture because you can see if our mitochondria for some reason weren't producing a lot of it, then the signal would go down. So if we have less redox molecules, that call for help, the signal gets muffled. And now you have cells that remain bad in the liver or the kidney, and they're not functioning properly. Well, as we age after puberty, our mitochondria function goes down. And you think about it, children before puberty, children have unending energy. That's not because of redox molecules. That's because the mitochondria is making so much ATP. Well, while it's making ATP, it's making a lot of these too. So the signal's loud. So a child at 10 falls off his or her bicycle. She gets up, he gets up, scraped up, cries, scabs, whatever, heals, fine in a week. The same kid at 30 is not going to heal. The same injury is not going to heal the same way. Happens at 50, could be in physical therapy and have a frozen shoulder the rest of her life. She falls off at 90, she's probably going to die. Well, the signaling is down. The immune system is not hearing the call for help because there are less of these. So they found a way to make these molecules outside the body, identical to inside the body. So I'm 60, right? So when I was a kid, I was producing this much. In my 20s, this much. I didn't heal as quickly from the same injuries. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. So my mitochondria are producing this much right now, right? So I don't heal as quickly as I did when I was, well, I do actually now, because I drink this, I'm raising my levels back up to what they were. And so I'm amplifying the signal. That's the miracle of this product. It's not a pharmaceutical. It's not something that's derived from a plant that has toxicity or something. And to lower cholesterol or do something, there are going to be side effects because those drugs have toxicity. There's no toxicity to this. You can't be allergic to it. They couldn't find a lethal dose. Every drug has a lethal dose. It's not metabolized by the liver. So if you take more than you need, your body just turns the excess back into saline, which is what our cells are filled with. You take too much of a drug, your liver can't keep up. And you have that toxicity building up, and eventually you'll get sick, take too much more, it'll kill you. Every drug has a lethal dose. So it's just a remarkable breakthrough that sounds too good to be true because number one, it's made from saline. Number two, it's a supplement. It's not a pharmaceutical, right? And it's not marketed through traditional means. Maybe we'll talk about why it's marketed through word of mouth. And so people are kind of hesitant about it unless they're open-minded and say, look, I'm looking at the data. I'm looking at the double-blind study. I'm looking at this. I see it comes with a money-back guarantee. I see it can't hurt me. I don't sleep great. Let me try it. My neck hurts. Let me try it. I have ringing in my ear. Let me try it. I have things floating across my eyes. Let me try it. I've got a skin issue. Let me try it. So people that I feel like that are not jaded and completely cynical, they have to look at the information and say, I've got nothing to lose here. Why wouldn't I try this thing? And I've just been sharing it, well, since the end of 2011, and it's just a joy. It's like every day I relive my excitement. When I first discovered this is real, it's kind of like discovering a whole new universe that no one knows exists. You know, like finding a diamond mine. Like you walk in a diamond mine, and it's hidden in some woods. No one knows it's there, and they're like, hey, there's a diamond mine there. Oh no, that's just woods there. My God, look at this. It's like, you know, whether it's diamonds or some kind of artwork or something. I just feel so fortunate.
I love that. I think we all feel like we've been incredibly blessed to have come across this and feel driven to share. I know, Jim and Ann, you've got an amazing story as well, you know, how it came into your lives and what it's done for you. Do you mind sharing that as well? And also, yeah, I was going to say, we probably should stop and just say this is not a medical product, that it's not meant to diagnose or treat anything. What it does is it enhances your body's own ability to heal itself. So we're just supplementing it.
So before we do our quick story, I wanted to comment with what you're commenting and see what you can share. You know, mitochondria dysfunction is not anything new. It's been studied for years, and it's just amazing. We have something in bottle and gel form that can help remedy that, assuming you take enough long enough. And it's just so neat that it's not toxic like what Jim was consuming many of for many, many years. But if you could share about you're the guy that came up with 3 and 5. So maybe you can tell the new people what that is and a little bit about a harmonics, why the gel works so fabulous from head to toe. And then the last thing is I learned something new when you shared on the charge up call, which I absolutely loved. And you shared about the gel working on the vagus nerve, the longest nerve, and how it works from the brain to the gut. And so maybe you could share about those points and how this amazing thing can work so fast. I mean, you can meet a stranger and within a matter of minutes, they're going to see it work. So share about that.
Well, to me, results matter. I think results matter to everybody. The sooner someone has an experience with it, the sooner they are bulletproof. Right. They don't care what the doctor says. Oh, it's salt water. They don't care what their spouse says. It's salt water, or Google. Right. You're bulletproof. So results matter. So the drink. I mean, I tell people realistically, be on it for 90 days. You're going to drink between 4 and 8 ounces a day somewhere. And if you take it properly, stay well hydrated, take it properly. I find 15% of people are thrilled at day 7, 60% are thrilled by day 30. Doesn't mean their particular problem, their main problem is better, but they've noticed something change, some shift happen. It's like, okay, I've had that for 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And so they see it happen, and 90% of people are thrilled by day 90. Again, if they're taking between 4 and 8 ounces, some people say, "Well, I'm not going to spend the money on 8 ounces a day." I'm like, "Well, I can't help you. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's going to be between there. You do it or you don't do it." But the gel's different because while someone's waiting for the drink to work, and by the way, before they start taking the supplement, they baseline everything in writing. Their energy, their sleep, if they have shaking, if they whatever. So they have something to compare on that form. They reassess. But I say, as soon as you get the gel, you get your product. You got 30 days to play with this stuff. Get a bunch of people on it. Just baseline everything. Take the gel, which is marketed for wrinkles. I mean, you look at the literature and look at the marketing materials. It's anti-aging. This is kind of like anti-aging on the inside. This is anti-aging on the outside. So you wouldn't know what I'm about to tell you unless someone told you to do this. And this is the most important thing I think anybody can do, because I want someone to get results as fast as possible. And with this, in the first day, anybody that's skeptical will know. You give me the most skeptical, negative researcher that says, "I don't believe it, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Show me the double-blind studies. Show me this, show me that, I don't believe it." If they do what I'm telling you, what I tell everybody to do, there is zero way they're not a believer at the end of the first day. By the end of the first day, they absolutely know it works. Now they're investigating it, not to disprove it. Now they're trying to figure out, how did it do that? And that's not for wrinkles, it's for discomfort. You find 10 people who are hurting somewhere in their body, their finger, their carpal tunnel area, their elbow, their shoulder, their neck, their back, their hip, their knee, a menstrual cramp, anywhere in their body that is not discomfort free. They have discomfort. And maybe maybe their knee isn't bothering when they sit, and I have them stand up and do a deep knee bend and just baseline their discomfort level on a scale of 1 to 10. So the number 10 comes up a lot. Find 10 people who are hurting and ask them for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. That's it. They're not even going to drink it, right? They're going to take the gel. They rate their discomfort on a scale of 1 to 10. They take the gel, which is clear, and there's no smell, none, and there's no greasiness, and it's marketed for wrinkles. I mean, I'm putting it on my face, right? They're not going to do that unless their face hurts. They're going to put it where it hurts, right? So if their neck, if they go to this way, it's fine. This way, ooh, that's a 7. Okay, write it down. It's a 7. You only went this far. Their shoulder, let's say, oh, that's a 3. Maybe they go to here and it's frozen. Oh, that's an 8. Okay, so just baseline everything. And in the first 5 minutes of the 10-minute test, apply the gel 3 times. So you shake it up well to reconstitute the gel. And instead of putting it on the face, just put it on the area that hurts 3 times in 5 minutes. And at the 10th minute, ask them how they feel. And if you want to amplify the benefits, as you mentioned, put it over the vagus nerve right here in the back of the neck. Very interesting. That nerve, the vagus, is called the wanderer. It kind of does a lot of amazing things in the body. And you don't have to do this, but I'm saying if you want to amplify the benefits, put it there as well as the knee or the back, or wherever you put it. So you put it on 3 times in 5 minutes. And I know this, and you know it too, what I'm going to say. Anybody who does this, let's say they're evaluating this to see if the product's real, for just for that purpose, they do it, or they're doing it because they want to make money. There's a huge opportunity here, but they say, I need to see it work before I open my mouth. While they're taking the drink, it could take a week, a month, 90 days. They do this on 10 people. I know what they're going to see happen on 9 of them. I know exactly what's going to happen. It isn't going to be 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. It's almost everybody. They're just ask them how they feel now. Whatever their discomfort levels was on a 1 to 10, ask them what it is in 10 minutes. And it's stunning. It's the thing that I think is so underutilized with this, because you can open a closed mind with the gel. And let's say the person has a little bit of discomfort in their finger, right? It's a 3. And in a few minutes, they're like, well, what happened? I don't understand that. That person is a doorway to tens of thousands of people, and maybe children who have parents that aren't there for the meeting. They're not here listening, but that person seeing that, now they're engaged. They're like, wow, now they're attending Zooms and webinars and learning. And they're thinking of people they love who need the product. They're thinking of people who know a lot of people, if they're business oriented, whatever it is. But that's what I say. It's pretty important to get experience with the product. Some people just start sharing it before they have an experience. Some say, I'm not saying a word until I know it's real. Take the gel and put it on 10 people day 1. By day 2, you're going to be writing names down of who you want to call about this.
Okay, I got to tell you a hilarious story. Maybe this isn't appropriate, but I got to tell it anyway. I've come up with a term, because David, we can show some people, but there's some people out there that are what I call negative poo-poo heads. And there may be a couple of negative poo-poo heads here. Now, I used to be a financial advisor, so I was meeting one of my investment clients, and she loved the product, by the way. She was new in this independent living community, and there was a negative poo-poo head, and he was a retired pharmacist. He was on a walker, 85 years old, and he was passing out bad info, saying it's just stupid salt water. So I got a chance to meet with him, and he had a bad shoulder, right? I said, try, and Jerry White was on the phone with me. So I said, lift your shoulder up. He goes, ow. And he couldn't lift it. It was frozen. So I had him put the gel, I put it on his finger, right? And he put it on his shoulder. And I said, now raise your arm up. He said, no. I said, oh, come on, humor me. He did that. Yeah. Now, you're not going to believe the words that came out of that man's mouth. And God is my witness, this is a true statement. He goes, what did you do to me? He goes, you hypnotized me. Oh my gosh, I still get a laugh out of that one. So there are some people that no matter what you show them, David,
Yeah.
they're not going to believe.
Yeah.
And I just call them negative poo-poo heads and shake their hand and say, you know what, I really thank you for your time. And
Yeah.
you know, I don't call that to their face, but I say it on the way out to the car.
Well, you know what? They're called dinosaurs, and dinosaurs kind of went away, and I feel badly for them because
I know.
it's so easy to prove. I mean, it's so ridiculously easy for anybody to see what I just said happens. It happens, but you know what? I just feel sorry for the people they know.
I know
that aren't
They're
like that, but we can't get to them because this negative poo-poo head is not admitting, hey, this is happening. But
okay, so you know, we had an amazing thing happen today. We actually had a wonderful gathering of like-minded people up in a little town called Kerrville, and Donalyn Dominguez came down from Argyle, Texas, to share. And then we had another young lady that's been Kathy Davis. She was a nurse practitioner, medically retired. And Donalyn shared her amazing life-changing testimonial where she should be gone, but she's here with bad cells. And then the nurse practitioner who we've had on here in the past, she had a brain episode and she got her life back. We had people in the audience that were in tears. Because when you hear these stories, and it even makes me emotional, because it just took us, David and Maureen, to have the courage to share it with a couple of people, and to know that these people are with us still, where maybe they wouldn't be, or they wouldn't be able to stay in their current living conditions. And, you know, with what happened to me, with, you know, being addicted to pain pills and being, my left leg was, if I didn't take my meds, my leg felt like it was going to explode. And I had a stimulator. My 10th surgery on my back was to put a stimulator in my back. And I'm still waiting for Maureen to come over here and take it out for me. I don't know, maybe she will. I'm joking, but it was one of the worst decisions I ever made of putting that thing in my back. But I was taking 500 pills, and I had been taking one of those medications for discomfort for 25 years. And we have a pharmacist as part of our group said, Jim, I never would have let you stay on a medication for that long. But I knew that it was destroying my liver. But what do you do when you're stuck in that?
You don't have any choices. I know. That's doctors are only educated, you know, on what they're educated on. People think, oh, I'm listening to my doctor. I'm like, well, what does your doctor know? Did your doctor take the gel and put it on 10 people? If your doctor did that, your doctor would be asking me a lot of questions. Other doctors on the medical board, they like call Dr. Hayes or me and say, can you explain this? And I simply just send them to a video. I say, watch these couple of videos, then let me know. I'll fill in the blanks for you. But it's it gives people choices. People have, let's say they have really bad joints, they're killing them. It's like, okay, you have the surgery, you take the medicine. Well, I can't have that. I don't want to have that surgery at this age. Then, you know, and the people know this, anti-inflammatories, non-steroidals, you're not supposed to take them more than 2 weeks because it increases your chance of heart attack and stroke, you know, and that's a fact. You look it up, but people are like, well, I need to take it. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe there are other things out there that your doctor doesn't know about.
Well, you know, David, I'm glad you bring that up because that's exactly, I kind of wrote that question down. Why are we even here doing this? You know, you've been with us multiple times, and a lot of times we even sometimes say the same thing, but why do we keep doing it? Because we have to, right, Maureen? I mean, when we asked you to come and join us on this, what was it? I don't even know how long ago it was, but this is a mission, David. Yeah. And, you know, if we don't educate people correctly on doing this, and if we don't spend this kind of time with people, my biggest fear is that they'll give it a week or 2 or 3 or 4. What do you say to them, by the way, David, when, oh, okay, I didn't feel it, David. I just, come on, you know, it didn't work on me. Well, what do you say?
Number one, yeah, I agree. It's an obligation to do this.
Right.
And also I want to mention something about the gel. When it works, people say, if they're negative, they'll say it's a placebo, right? But 9 out of 10, or put it on a limping dog or a limping horse. If they stop limping, you kind of kill that placebo thing. Also, people say, well, is it a painkiller? No, because thermographic imaging shows the changes. If it was a painkiller, there'd be no change. And also very often, if you have something that's discolored and red and kind of nasty
Yeah.
and angry looking, and you put it on and take a picture before and take a picture 10 minutes later, it's pretty interesting what happens. And we're careful not to make medical claims. We can't make claims because it's not a pharmaceutical. So, and some people just can't handle that. They're like, well,
Yeah.
if it did this, you'd be able to say it, but we can't because it's a
Right.
supplement. So anyway,
Of course.
because there was a
Well, how do you
genetic-
know that?
because there was a double-blind, placebo-controlled study testing ASEA versus saltwater saline as the placebo to see if it would increase what's called genetic expression. And they did a study. And well, first of all, genetic expression is this. People don't know what that is. You know, our genes just don't control our eye color and our height and things like that. You know, in fact, if you look, people say, well, my father had a heart attack at 50 and I'm 35, I'm worried. Well, what are you worried about? Well, it's genetic. Okay, well, why did it happen when he was 50 and not when he was 20? Because our genes, the gene expression decreases as we get older. Genes on our DNA tell the cell that they're in what proteins to produce so that the cell can function. The liver cell's producing needs different proteins, the retina cell, the lung cell. And if the genetic expression goes down, which it does as we age, we all have heard the term epigenetics, our genetic expression goes down, then the protein production goes down. And they're like shields. When our genes are on when we're young, it's like shields protecting us from all this stuff. We're living our lives, and all of a sudden we're in our 40s, and it's like, whoa, I'm getting these issues here. I'm not healing as quickly from injuries, but oh, my cholesterol went up, this, you know, whatever, my heart, whatever, and it gets worse as we get older. Well, it proved that this turns the genes back on. And it didn't take 90 days. It was an 8-week trial, and they drank 240 ml or 8 ounces a day. And every single person, and I'll give you the website where you can pull it up at ASEAScience.com or AmazingMolecules.com. You can go see. And what these genes control, from thyroid stimulating hormone to insulin signaling to circadian rhythm, these are all things that you see people get as they age. These problems start cropping up. Well, we can't say the product cures, heals, or treats anything because that would be a medical claim. We can say it's proven it turns the genes on. Every single person who drank it turned these genes back on. And not one person who drank the saline did it turn on. So people say, I can't feel it. Okay, well, how much are you drinking? I'd say it's a matter of, for someone to actually feel it, what I've always found is it's how much are you investing in yourself? Maybe you have to buy more. Some people need 4 ounces a day. It's a bottle a week. I drink 8 ounces a day. When I had this nasty thing going around the world on my 60th birthday a few months ago, I was drinking a bottle a day, but recommended between 4 and 8 ounces a day. And are they doing it long enough? I mean, that's it. And if someone says to me after 90 days, I didn't feel anything, and they took they did what I said, I'll say, you know what you should do? If it was you, I'd say, Jim, why don't you just stop totally. Yeah. Now, write down again, like you did when you started, baseline everything in your health again now, your sleep, your energy, your mood, your libido, everything, and stop, right? And just track your progress. And most people will say, oh my God, I was sleeping better when I was on. People
okay, now, then I guess, are you guys telling me then that I got to take this stuff for the rest of my life?
Well, here's the thing. So your mitochondria were producing a lot when you were young. And now you're producing this much. You drink this, your mitochondria have to keep producing what it's producing because it's producing ATP. So you still produce this stuff, but you're producing it here, but you're supplementing with this. Right. If you stop, there's no negative feedback loop. There's no like withdrawal because your body keeps producing. You just go at 60, I'm producing this much. I don't want to feel 60. I played golf twice today. I used to play golf once and I'd had to take ibuprofen and I couldn't play for 3 or 4 days. I have so much energy. I can do things I couldn't do when I was in my 30s. Right? I don't want to go back to here. So do I drink it every day? Yeah. And I'll tell you what, with it's not talking about what's going on in the world, but if I had to choose right now for a week with either out food or this, I would give up food for the week. And that's no lie. I would not be without this, knowing what this does. It's, and there's the business opportunity side of it because the company owns the patents, the IP on it, the only place you get it. If you want the benefits of it, you drink the product. If you don't, if you want to keep getting the benefits, you have to keep drinking it.
like working out and going on a diet when you want to, be healthier and look better. You can be really buff and you can be looking really good and feeling really good. But if you stop exercising and you stop taking supplements and you start eating the standard American diet, over time, it's not going to be overnight, but over time, you're going to go back to baseline. And that's what I see and that's what that study showed. When we took the 35-year-olds off of the product, in 8 weeks, they were back to baseline. But David, when I was listening to you talk about it, one thing that was apparent is they didn't ask those kids, I'm calling them kids because they were 35, didn't ask them if they felt it. That's
what my question is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I say. How many, because they all had the upregulation, did they feel it? And I say, well, probably some of them didn't.
But here's what we do know. Here's what we can extrapolate from that. You don't have to feel it. It is working whether you feel it or not. I take vitamin D every day. I don't feel it. I don't take a vitamin and say, oh my gosh, I feel full of sunshine now, right? But it's important. So yeah, I think it's an added bonus that so many of us feel so great taking this product,
Well, David, can you speak to why are younger people having all these health issues? It just seems like people are getting younger and younger. There's a lot of issues that are happening at younger and younger ages. I mean, why is that?
I don't have the answer, but I mean, you got to figure it's a combination of either the food supply, toxicity in the environment, electromagnetic waves that are going through our body, which never did in the history of our in the last 100 years, radio waves was, and TV was pretty much it. Now we got stuff going through us constantly. Who knows what it is, but, I just know that we have something here that's as safe as water, and I'll do everything I can to keep my genes turned on and doing what they're supposed to do.
I love the way you said that the gene expression is the shield. I love that. I hadn't really heard that in a while. So that's, you're elevating your shields back up. Who doesn't want that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are shooting arrows at you. It's nice to have a duck behind a shield, that they can't hit you. Even they're shooting them at you, like in Braveheart or Gladiator, and you're sitting there with a shield.
We're like Marvel. We're like Marvel people, right?
Yeah. That's you, Maureen. You're the Marvel. You're Wonder Woman.
That's right, Wonder Woman.
But what about prevention?
Well, we can't even say it prevents anything. I mean, because that would be a medical claim, but just kind of common sense. When proactive. Proactive, protecting, but when it's kind of common sense when you look at who has more issues, younger people or older people. And when someone is unless it's trauma, by the time someone goes to the doctor, it's that problem, and Maureen will tell you that problem didn't just start that day, unless it's trauma. It gets to the point where there's symptoms, and there was something brewing for a long time. It's just they never got to the point where it was symptomatic. Well, you don't see that happen in children. They have cells mutating. You don't see these things happen in younger people because the body is silently taking care of it. The body is getting those signals. There's a cell that's not functioning properly. The signal is loud. The immune system's taking care of it, getting rid of the bad cell. A good cell takes its place. But it all starts with that bad cell being detected by the good cell and then calling for help. But if the call for help is muffled and the immune system can't hear it, then that bad cell remains, right? So we can't say it prevents anything, but that's the thing about the wording we use. We just can't make medical claims because it's not a drug, although a pharmaceutical company tried to buy it and the founders refused because they thought they were just going to put it on the shelf and make it so that, hey, let's keep our little gig going here with what we got going. We don't need these types of things coming to market. So the company decided to go another route, and it's just word of mouth, supplement, anti-aging, athletic performance, but we can't make any claims about curing, healing, treating, or preventing. And it really doesn't. The body does it itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to steal this from Dr. Lee here, so don't tell him. But I loved what he said a couple of weeks ago, right, Maureen? That when we drink Redox, it's releasing the doctor that's already within us.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was
So I'm
awesome.
stealing that. So that's now mine. He's not here. He can't defend himself. So, but isn't that great? Isn't that really what we're doing? Is just our body's doing all the work.
Our bodies have the
Body's
innate
doing
knowledge.
everything.
Yeah. We're just kind of tapping into it. We're giving our bodies what they need in order to do the job they already know how to do. They're miraculous, you
Yeah.
know.
Right. And I've always taught to have a proactive stance on your health. You know, you don't want to wait till something creeps up. You should be responsible for your own health. And whether it's things you avoid at the store or just activities that are not going to further your health, you just shouldn't be even doing them. I like how Dr. Gardner said a few weeks ago that healthy people, this just keeps them healthy, which the category I was in when we started. And of course, those that are challenged, this is going to help address those challenges. But, you know, I love that our company is a total cellular health company. It doesn't just have the Redox. The Redox is just going to make everything else you're doing work that much better. And so I love when they added the nutritionals, being I have a degree in nutrition science. I've seen every imaginable thing in 15 and a half years teaching it. And I just love how what they did to, you know, source it, you know, the micronutrients, the enzymes, the superfoods, the right amount of oils. And they put it in this rice capsule that's all food. It's not synthetic. It's not those fillers that are out there that aren't even giving you a small margin of absorption. And so they synergetically worked our 4 nutraceuticals to work in tandem, married with Redox. And that's what makes these all work. Because, you know, when we learned about the product, you asked about our testimony. Well, I got my husband back. I watched him suffer for 13 years of our 18 years marriage. I watched him drugged up. Now, I wasn't doing any meds. I haven't been sick in 7 years. So I don't know what it's like to have challenge, but I watched him. I watched him at 9 of the 10 surgeries. He had one before I met him. And so, and none of those were guaranteed and none of them worked because he clearly was still on stuff. And then the nights with the kids from 6 o'clock on, he was pretty much out of it because you're that medicated. He napped an hour and a half. He doesn't do naps anymore. We climb Mount Zion, we ski, we hike, you know.
I don't ski very well,
Well,
though. It didn't help that.
He does pretty good for a beginner, but he wouldn't be on those slopes had he been the condition he was in at 58. You know, in the last 2 years, when the glands started healing, the adrenals, when the adrenal glands aren't healed, it's much harder, and the thyroid, to lose weight. And so here we put these 4 that we faithfully take daily, you know, the Source, the Life Max. Y'all can look them all up in your back office or ask the person who invited you to send you a video about these products. And then we now have Omega. So when we drink 10 to 12 ounces a day, when we married it with this, he started losing weight because his body was in fat burning mode. We were active, we're very active. And they just started giving him we got the labor and the materials, and then his body just started doing all the work, started healing, and he's lost 65 pounds in the last 2 years. So it's very exciting to have his life back. And I have my own testimony. You can look it up on Healthy Self. We don't have a lot of minutes left, but you know, I didn't start this for what's going on wrong inside me. I started the gel first. 2 days later, I saw changes in 2 areas that totally blew me away. I had something growing on the one finger. It was a dead nail. And I spent 2 years trying to figure out how to get rid of it. Get on this, it's gone. 2-year-old issue gone in that one finger. And then of course it grew. And now I have no trouble with nails at all. And then the cracked heels, I had it on one foot, gone with just this. Then I started on the liquid. I'm growing longer, stronger, faster. I'm 55, run like a 28-year-old. Jim knows I look like a jackrabbit going down our street. I can do, hills and rocks. I don't get tired when I'm done. I could do another workout when we're done. I just go and blow with life. And I've seen digestion. I've seen a birthmark go away, not a small one this size. And just a whole countless things have changed that I've seen over the 5.5 years. But number one, he's a walking miracle. If you don't live with it, you don't know how life-changing this is until you see somebody like him have life back. And so I can't say enough, and that's why we share it around the world. So
amazing. Still have time. People are asking about the comment about harmonics. So, David, you must have said something about the harmonics with the product. Was that you?
Actually, Ann did. Ann made the comment.
I said it, but I was waiting. Reflexology, harmonics, why it works. If you touch here, why it works here, and hear about that a little bit.
We had a lady, an RN, that she had a stiff neck, and we put it here, not on the back of the neck, but here. And we've had people with a bad foot, with any discomfort in their knee, and we put it here. And Jerry White has said, and Jerry will be our guest next week, by the way, but he referred to it as harmonics. Do you know much about that?
I don't. I don't know, but I've heard the term, but I know that this nerve is the vagus.
Now, where is that nerve, David?
Right where the pulse is.
Yeah.
So it's called the Wanderer. Look it up. VAGUS. I mean, it controls a lot with your involuntary nervous system. It's really remarkable. I've seen it, and I don't understand it. I don't pretend that to say I understand all of this. I don't think the person that wrote this book about it, which is an amazing book, knows everything. It's just, it is a category creating breakthrough. Right. It's the biggest thing in certainly my lifetime. And maybe my grandmother just died 5 years ago this month at 106. Wow. She was born in 1910. I don't think there has been a breakthrough in health like this. And it's creeping up on people because it's not out there. They're not doing double-blind studies on diseases. It's like, no, this is a supplement. We're going to bring it this way. This is what's called a disruptive innovation. And let me tell you something. The people that made typewriters did not want the word processor to come out, but it did, and this is what we've got. We're sitting on a massive breakthrough that's also created a massive opportunity for people who are open to it.
Yeah.
How's that affected your life, David? Real quick.
The
financial opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Well, I made a lot of money as a doctor and owning my own practice.
How was your time?
I had no time freedom.
Right.
I had no time freedom. I mean, I worked my butt off with 3 kids. They were all now they're grown now, but putting them through college, out-of-state college, trying to have a decent lifestyle. I mean, it was in a lot of stress, and a lot of people depended on me. I was the rainmaker in the practice, and and plus it was a routine. I'm psychologically unemployable, so I just cannot stand having a boss. I mean, my wife's bad enough. I'm just kidding, but that's the only person I listen to. But I don't want someone telling me what to do, what time to be at work, what time to go home from work, how much I'm going to make, when I can go on vacation, when I can go to the bathroom. I don't want anybody I'm a big boy. I don't want that. But when you're an entrepreneur, you take risk. When I owned a practice, it was risk. You open buy a McDonald's, there's risk. It's a couple $1 million. You own a business, you're the last one to get paid. You got to pay your employees, all of that. But I did not want a boss, right? But also I had no time freedom, made a lot of money. I make a lot more money now, but I have complete time freedom, right? I make money while I sleep. It's like the dream. And how do you do that? You invest a lot of money in the stock market and hope your stocks go up. And people golfing. Oh, Apple went up, Apple went down. It's like, I don't really care. I've got this business that's growing and growing beneath me because it's like a ripple effect. Mm-hmm. The company spends no money on advertising. They pay us. So you throw a rock live on a golf course here in Florida, throw a rock in the pond, still pond, the ripples go out, the rock sinks to the bottom, but the effect keeps going. Even though the rock's sleeping on the bottom there, the ripples go out. Because you tell 10 people, if they each tell 10 people, if they each tell 10 people, if they each tell 10 people, that's 100,000 people who know about it. And the company's going to pay you for all of that because they don't spend money on advertising. And the last thing was, I felt limited. I went into podiatry and foot surgery because I had foot problems myself and a podiatrist helped me. I wanted to help people. The human body fascinates me. I didn't want to have to tell people they were going to die of something, and you rarely have to do that in podiatry. And I wanted a good lifestyle. Didn't have the time freedom, but I also it was a routine. It was becoming, after 5 or 6 years, it was like, hey, I love what I do when I'm at work, but it's like, I'm going to do this every day for the next 50 years. I'm going to drive to my office or the hospital. And let's say it's the hospital. I go to my office and I go home. I go to sleep. The next day I'm going to do it again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And people laugh about Wednesday being hump day, but that's really sad that people are just dying to get over the hump to get to the weekend and then start all over again. I don't want to live like that. And this gave me the ability it's not get rich quick, but if you see it clearly and you're coachable and you're motivated, you can be free. You can be free while your friends say, oh, that's one of those things. No, I don't, but salt water. They don't even know one day they're going to be using this product. And I knew my friends that looked at me at the beginning kind of funny, like, oh, he's doing one of those things. Oh, God. I knew one day they'd be envious. Well, guess what? I don't have to work anymore. I play golf every afternoon. I went to the beach with Wendy yesterday. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. If I want to work, I work. What we're doing right now, this is technically my work. Does it look like I feel like I'm working? This is just sharing something, even if I wasn't getting paid and someone asked me to do this. We don't get paid to do these presentations, but if the company didn't pay me to tell people about this, I would tell them anyway. Any of us would do that, right?
But Dr. Silverman, thank you.
Always
You
the
are
best.
one of our favorites.
Thank you all. You guys are
the
best.
lives that you're changing. Maureen, you're phenomenal. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Great
We
job,
love and adore you.
everybody.